a choice. Join the protest. Raise your voice. Heating or eating. It shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest. Raise your voice. We're going to say prices are rising, and then I'm going to ask you to say, and so are we. So are we. Prices are rising. Prices are rising. Prices are rising.
Because of you, man. Because of you.
The people are rising, so are we. 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 Eating or eating, it shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest, raise your voice. Eating or eating, it shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest. Eating or eating, it shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest, raise your voice. Eating or eating, it shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest, raise your voice. The people are rising, the cost of living is rising, and so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. Eating or eating, it should be a choice. Join the protest, raise your voice. Eating or eating, it should be a choice. Join the protest, raise your voice. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. Eating or eating, it should be a choice. Join the protest, raise your voice. Eating or eating, it shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest, raise your voice. Eating or eating, it shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest. Eating or eating, it shouldn't be a choice. Join the protest. Raise your voice. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we. The cost of living is rising, so are we.
One, two, 1, 2. If I say freeze the prices and you say not the people, freeze the prices. Can't hear you. Freeze the prices. 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 Freeze the prices.
people.
Raise the prices.
Not the people.
Raise the prices.
Not the people.
Raise the prices.
Not the people.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
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 Raise the prices.
Not the people.
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 The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
Raise the prices. Raise the prices.
Not the people.
Raise the prices.
Not the people.
Raise the prices.
Not the people.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
Raise the prices.
Not the people.
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 The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
The cost of living is rising.
So are we.
Raise the prices.
Not the people.
Nadim.
Okay. Everyone ready? Well, I'm up here and I'm looking across at the crowds and it's absolutely amazing. I would like to say a huge thank you to everyone who took the time and trouble to attend this very important campaign today. I who don't know, and
about the capsules. We are here today to have our say on the rising of the economy and to fight back on the energy companies that are profiteering. Only yesterday, the ESB announced 390 million profit for the first half of this year, and already the government are trying to backtrack on that by saying they'll give it back to us. They won't. This is a company that the country owns 90% of, and our government is allowing this. We must tell them to stop now. Today, we have a few speakers that will let us know just how hard people are finding the cost of living. We will have some now, and then we will have our march and finish with the speakers and a song from Martin Leahy. So first off, our first speaker is Antoinette Burke from the Family Unit for Services and Support.
Hi everyone, my name is Antoinette and I'm here today to speak on behalf of FUS, which is Families United for Services and Support. I am mum to my 15-year-old daughter Katie, who has cerebral palsy and a dislocated hip. A mum who for the second time in her life is forced to take my child out of the country again, and I have to try and pull that money out of thin air. We are forced to start GoFundMe for things like basic surgeries, wheelchairs, specialist seating. Many of us receive no state support, all despite being unable to work. Why? Because carers is a means and taxed payment. Given that so often the role of a carer is taken on by mothers, means testing payments against partners' income not only tells us how the state values carers, contributions to their communities, but leaves women utterly dependent and extremely vulnerable. If you qualify to be in line with this is one of the lowest rates of social welfare payments that you will receive. On fuel increases, too bad. If you have a 4 p.m. appointment in Dublin and have to travel from Cork, be prepared to have to book into a hotel, which will cost you maybe €300 on top of the extra fuel that you need. Some of our children have motorised beds, mattresses, feeding machines, electric wheelchairs, monitors and communication devices. The household package that only some carers get gives €33.50 per month off their ESB bill. That doesn't even come close to helping us. Then there's heating bills. The hospital car park fees. Even though some parents have parking permits, we still have to pay. The fact that your child is hospitalised for what the state considers too long, your payment will be cut off. Many families are sitting at home wondering how many hospitalisations they can endure this winter before the rent becomes unattainable. Domiciliary care is €309 per month, and that's supposed to cover the cost of having a child with a disability. It's been this rate for years, despite the fact that those extra expenses now include self-funding equipment, occupational therapy, speech therapy, physiotherapy, assessments and private healthcare. Children's disabilities have collapsed and we have been left alone to cover the costs. We watch as the HSE claim that they can't recruit staff and then refuse to engage with the staff they do have, who tell them they are leaving the sector due to poor pay and working conditions. When our children reach 18, they face into a future in which they are twice as likely to live below the poverty line, They face barriers in accessing education, housing, healthcare and employment. We are families that are broken because of our incompetent government and the HSE. They expect us to magically stretch €224 for every therapy under the sun, alongside rent and school costs. It's a state poverty and neglect. So we are telling our government today, enough is enough. We won't listen to your claptrap any longer. You keep telling us, and I'll finish here with a quote that my 15-year-old daughter quoted at our first bus march. Remember this. These children will be old enough to eventually be able to vote and will be among the ones who will decide if you keep your job or not. We are not going to be left at the bottom of the ladder any longer. It's time to rise up together and demand a fairer and more equal society for our children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last year we heard students here and abroad could afford to feed themselves. So UCC Student Union have set up a food bank and was shocked to see how fast it's disappearing. This year they have extra hardship, as Sinead wrote from UCC Student Union will tell us all about.
Hi, my name is Sinead and I'm the Communications and Engagement Officer on this year's Students' Union, and I stand here today with members of UCC Students' Union, MTU Cork Students' Union and students in Cork. We are seeing now more than ever third level students are struggling with the rising cost of living, unaffordable student accommodation and having the highest student fees in the EU. Students continue to be under huge financial restraint. What is the reality of being a student in 2022? Historically, we've seen that university has been an institution of and for the elite, and it still retains much of this today through the commercialisation of education and knowledge. But what is different today is that many people can get into third level education, and in Ireland in particular, we've developed this obsession with the younger generation going to university, which is why we have one of the most highly qualified workforces in the EU in terms of third level education. Essentially, university is no longer just for the affluent and the elite classes to go to and get a qualification. Working class people can and do go to university, and there are a lot of third level goers. However, the reality of the cost of living crisis is that students cannot afford to go to university, though we are in a society where it is expected of them. We know that over 2/3 of students are working part-time or full-time to support themselves through education, and that figure was pre-COVID. And if you get full SUSI, it doesn't even cover it. I was a recipient of full SUSI and had to take out a 16 grand loan 4 years ago. In today's day, I would not be able to afford to go to college. And as SUSI is not matching inflation and accommodation prices are skyrocketing, there are countless students on the brink. I see it all the time in my role in the Students' Union, where we provide direct financial support to those who need it. We know that there are students who are coming to college because they can't afford their commute, or because they have to work during their lecture hours to pay their rent, bills and feed themselves. In my SU, we run a food bank through food voucher system, a crash subsidy scheme for parent students who can't afford to put their children through childcare, and we run an emergency fund for students facing situations such as unable to pay their rent, medical bills, or other emergency situations. The fact that students' unions are having to do this, where there are members of university senior management and members of government on annual salaries over 100k plus, is abhorrent. We see it every year, where students are struggling to find affordable accommodation, but we are at a breaking point. This week alone, in my union, we've had a student try to sleep in the library, one student who couldn't find a place in any hostels, and an international student who arrived in Ireland to find their room was shared, which was not told to them. That is only for this week alone. What do we want? We want the government to implement and enforce rent controls and freezes, a ban on evictions and no more private purpose-built student accommodation in order to tackle the housing crisis. The fact that 19% of purpose-built student accommodation is publicly owned, while private student accommodation complexes are shooting up all over the place, charging astronomical prices, is a disgrace. Government policy is squeezing students out of the rental market. Sky-high rents are forcing students to commute long distances or into unsafe and unfavourable living conditions. Some are even forced to give up their spot in college altogether. The commercialisation of third-level education of students is causing barriers and further highlights that education should be a right and not a privilege. Student unions nationally are unified in their demand that we need to see the €3,000 student contribution charge abolished and see education publicly funded now. It was recently published that the government is running a £6 billion surplus this year. These people at the top are constantly winning, while the rest of us are suffering and struggling. Students stand in solidarity with every single person affected by the cost of living crisis. We should not be living to survive. We are struggling and we need to see change now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sinead. So our next speaker is one of the organisers of Cost of Living campaign. We've been hearing him all week. We've been reading about him all. Stranger, that's what is actually happening in their country at the moment. So Mick Barry, TD, Socialist Party.
We refuse to be poor. We refuse to go hungry or to let others go hungry. We refuse to freeze in our homes or have others freeze in their homes this winter. Micheál Martin, Simon Coveney, Michael McGrath, be clear and be warned. We will not carry the can for a crisis that is not of our making. Now this rally condemns, in no uncertain terms, the murderous invasion of Ukraine by the Putin regime. But does the government think that we are blind to the other factors at play here? Do they think that we fail to see the massive profiteering going on all around us? €2 billion plus profits at Tesco, €1 billion plus profits at SSE Electricity, and last but not least, €2 million profit a day by the ESB. Energy credits are not going to cut it. We want and demand a freeze on these price increases. We want prices capped where they were last year. And we want energy in public ownership. Run democratically by and for the ordinary people, not in the hands of millionaires and billionaires. It takes €20,000 a year to rent a house in Cork City these days. The big landlords are coining it. They're coining it thanks to a right-wing government that is stuffed to the gills with landlord TDs. Cut and freeze the rents, ban evictions now. The government were clapping themselves this week for approving an 80-cent increase in the minimum wage. You wouldn't feed the pigeons on 80 cents these days. We need a real living wage and a real pay increases. The government want to effectively cut the pay of our nurses, our healthcare workers, our teachers and other public sector workers. If the pay cut pay deal is rejected, there is an alternative. Ballot for industrial action and mobilise the unions to make protests such as this into monster demonstrations this winter. Two brief final points. This is a crisis of the system. Capitalism is based on the competitive drive for endless profits. Profiteering is stitched into its DNA. We urgently need a new government. But a new government which keeps This system in place represents no real change. We need Fianna Fáil out. We need Fine Gael out. But we need socialist policies too. Today we march. Tomorrow, organise, spread the word. We need to build a movement, a campaign, a sustained campaign, like we did with the water charges. Today is important, but as far as we're concerned, this is only the start. One, two.
Thanks, Mick. So our next speaker is in the middle of their own fight at the moment. The first Right to Water protest was in Dublin October 2014. But today, Cork City Council water workers are having their own struggles. And again, it is with Irish Water. So we have John Mullen, SIP2 shop steward for Cork City Council water workers to have a word now.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for turning out in such huge numbers. My name is John Mullins, and I am a water service worker for Cork City Council. I'm also a SIP2 shop steward. I'm here today to update you on the latest regarding Irish Water. In June of this year, the group of unions issued a framework document on the future delivery of water services. My union, SIP2, agreed to this deal. And I call it a deal because it's not an agreement, because it was done without the support of the workers. They have no mandate and they didn't consult with workers. This dirty deal means that from the 1st of January 2023, all local authority water services will be handed over to Irish Water on a plate. SIP2 has decided that as far as they are concerned, this is a done deal, and that workers, incredibly, will not get a vote on this sellout. This is undemocratic, morally wrong, and goes against all trade union principles. We have emails from SIP2 assuring workers that the service level agreement was safe, and when talks were concluded, we would get a vote, and we would ultimately decide what was going to happen. SIP2 have now reneged on this promise. SIP2 also said that the referendum on public ownership of water services was a red line issue on entering talks. At a meeting on the 5th of September last at the Imperial Hotel, the SIP2 official told workers that SIP2 no longer think it necessary to hold a referendum. And incredibly, he said that he doubted it would pass anywhere. Another broken promise to workers. Over the past few weeks, water services workers have been holding protests outside SIP2 offices in Cork, Waterford and Kilkenny, and many more to come, against our treatment by SIP2. It's a very sad day when workers have to protest against their own unions. We as workers genuinely fear for our futures, and we also fear for the future of our public water services. If this deal goes through in its present form on January the 1st, we believe that the government will abandon any plans for a referendum, as it will have achieved what it wanted with the help of trade unions. Whoever would have thought that a trade union would support the Thatcherite policy of privatisation? We believe that Irish Water will be sold off and water charges will soon follow. Believe me, this is very much on this corrupt government's agenda. So on top of the rising cost of electric, gas, oil, petrol, diesel, we are now once again looking down the barrel of water charges. Water service workers will continue to fight for our right to a vote on this deal. We will continue to campaign for our promised referendum on the public ownership of water services. But we can't do this on our own, and we were asking you all to row in behind us and help us to achieve our goals. We are asking our elected representatives to pile the pressure on the government to publicly announce a date for the referendum. Finally, I am asking our unions to grow a backbone and tell this government to get stuffed and represent the people who pay their wages. The unions, by their actions, are giving two fingers to every man, woman and child who took to the streets in 2014 to defeat water charges. We want public water for our sons and daughters. We want the referendum now. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We are still living in the middle of a housing crisis. Rents and interest rates are going up. Our next speaker knows all about this. People Before Profit, Gary Bowes of the National Homeless and Housing Coalition.
Thanks, Valerie. So I'm tired of losing my friends, neighbors, and community to the housing crisis. Some get evicted, some get priced out, some emigrate, and some are sleeping in tents. Slowly, everyone I know is feeling pressured out of this once affordable city. I work in the arts industry as a musician, and despite the government's high praise for the arts, nothing kills the arts faster than high rent. The government cannot brag about supporting the arts and inclusivity when we can't even find a place to live. I've seen the same pattern repeat in cities around the world. With every rent increase, you're forced to work harder and harder to pay it. If you manage a wage increase, it's not long before your landlord comes along to swallow that too. So after a while, you have to ask yourself, do I work for myself or do I work for my landlord? While a whole generation of us are locked out of ever getting a mortgage or owning a home, it's our hard work that pays the mortgage on the landlord's home. The rental market is so bad that we're forced to compete with one another for a combination that would never meet the Residential Tenancies Board minimum standards. No one can just open a restaurant or a cafe to the public without inspections, but somehow a landlord can profit from a substandard apartment without any oversight. And I think that's because the interests of the landlord are the interests of the law. With the Community Action Tenants Union, CATU, we responded to 2 emergency calls for help to thwart illegal evictions. At one eviction, the landlord brought along a thug. The thug was so violent, one of the elderly tenants was sent to the hospital. When dozens of us, anti-eviction activists, arrived, the thug fled the scene. When the Gardaí arrived, did they arrest the landlord? Oh, no, no. Without our intervention, those tenants would have been made homeless that night. It's moments like these that reveal the class warfare that's waged against us. But it also reveals how successful we can be when we organize and take action together. And it is essential that the victims of the housing crisis and the victims of war stay united. Don't ever forget that it's the banks and the government who are responsible for this crisis, not your immigrant neighbor. Now groups in the far right will try to pit us off one another, so nobody pays attention to the decades of inaction by the state itself. Don't fall for that racist trap. Whenever the poor blame the poor, the culprits in power laugh at us. But when all of us who suffer from the same system work together, we stand a chance to change it. Because Ireland has the ability to provide everyone in need a dignified place to live. We've got 10,000 homeless, 62,000 on the housing list, and over 200,000 vacant properties. We've a housing crisis because of a hoarding crisis. Hoarding houses to keep supply low means house prices are artificially high. So if you're an average person or family looking for a place to live, this is a terrible situation. But if you own multiple properties, the current market allows you to generate massive profits. 41% of the dull are millionaires. 25% of the dull are landlords. And they'll continue to work for their interests, not ours. Governments in capitalist society are but committees of the rich to manage the affairs of the capitalist class, Connolly wrote. And it can't be repeated enough. Because Ireland has been here before. On this island full of food, 1 million people starved and died. And now on this island full of empty houses, thousands are homeless. Then as now, we know that these were not acts of God, but acts of men. Men who used their power to make their wealthy friends richer from our suffering. It's morally wrong, but morality doesn't matter to them when there's money to be made. So we have to ask ourselves, do we want a commodity market for vultures or housing for the people? The government says they can do both, but they're lying, and we've decades of their failure to prove it. The only way to ensure safe and secure accommodation is for us and future generations is to make housing a constitutional right. All human rights won throughout history took people power to win, and I believe the political pressure necessary to win can be found on the streets with us. A single protest won't work, but if we persist and our movement grows larger, we can demand public housing on public land, an end to dereliction and evictions, an end to the vulture funds, and most importantly, we can demand and win a national referendum on a constitutional right to housing. This country doesn't have to be like this. We have the power to change it if we seize the opportunity. My name's Gary and I'm a member of People Before Profit. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. So now I'm going to hand you over to our Chief Steward, Councillor Mick Nugent, to tell us the route for the march. And then we're back here for the rest of our speakers.
We're going to march and then we're going to come back for more speeches, okay? So we're going to go this way. The cost of living campaign banner is just there. So we'll follow behind that. If the stewards get into position, follow the party banners. We'll be going out that way. We'll be turning left. So everybody this way, keep going this way. We'll come out, we go left onto the Grand Parade, carry down to Patrick Street. We'll be turning by the Father Matthew statue, coming back up by Patrick Street, going down Winthrop Street, up Oliver Plunkett Street, and back here for more speeches. Okay, so take your time, look out for each other, we go through slowly, make your voice heard, and let's go, let's march!
Everyone, we want to hear you.
Anyone who chooses all the people, students, heroes, people at the end of the tunnel, just take it. Prices are rising! Prices are rising! Prices are rising! At the same level as last week, that these people understand what things they have. But at the moment, the bills are just acting down. Raise the wages! Stop the rent! Raise the wages! Raise the wages! Stop the rent! Raise the wages! 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 When workers and strikes are under attack! When workers' rights 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 are under You're in total recall of this power. Who believes stability and unity in the power? Which she feels the force of more than well. We will stand together in the extreme and then the ivory tower. And we're talking about spending 4 billion to rebuild Ireland. Raise the wages, not the rent! Raise the wages! Raise the wages! Raise the wages! Not the rent! Raise the wages! Not the rent! Raise the wages! Not the rent!
This is called people power! This is called people power!
This is called people power.
Be all in your ivory tower!
This is called people power.
Be all in your ivory tower!
Sorry.
Not the people!
Freeze the prices!
Not the people.
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 So as you can see, it's a fairly substantial size crowd here in Cork for the protest. I'm not sure on the number that's been said as of yet, but there's definitely a couple of thousand people here anyway that are getting out to voice their opinion on what they think about the cost of living. So if you're just joining us, it's live here on Unity Media, where we're bringing you what's going on here in the streets of Cork for the protest. A lot of people would have liked to get out, but due to different situations they were unable to attend. So we've had some speakers already, still more speakers to come after the march. So we'll follow the march and see where the procession goes. So you can see the people still filtering through. The head of the crowd is just down outside the McDonald's. So you can see there's a fairly big crowd there. It's great to see young and old here supporting this campaign, because it affects everybody across all society, regardless of your personal circumstance. Everyone has bills to pay, be it gas, electricity. Everyone has bills and everything has gone up, so people are fed up and they want the government to act now. As you heard some of our speakers, we heard from different people and their own perspectives on the cost of living crisis, and we'll hear from more speakers at the end of the march as well. If you are watching and you want to pass any comments, you can do it. We're live on Facebook and on Twitter as well, so feel free to give a comment.
Let us know what you think about the cost of living crisis, how you're affected, what you think should change. And again, you can see the crowd still filtering through here, still coming out of the Grand Parade outside the library. So the government are getting a clear message here anyway today. People are fed up. People want change. They want them to step in. The cost of fuel alone is millions and millions in extra revenue for the government every month. If they want to do something, they can look at that taxation on fuel that we purchase and consume every day to get to work, to get to school, to bring our children to activities, to give them a life that they deserve. So have your say. If you want to leave a comment on anything on the Facebook or the Twitter, feel free to leave a comment here. And again, you can still see people filtering out onto the main road. The route is going to go down along Patrick Street, down to the Father Matthew statue. We'll join the crowd as it's filtering through. Thankfully, it's a great day for the protest as well, so lots of people have come out.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
As you can see, people are still filtering through here, so the crowds are immense. Again, I'm not sure on the number that will be put to the protest, but there's lots and lots of people still coming through. Even the dogs on the street know that things can be done by the government to help us, the ordinary people that are providing the income that's keeping this country going. And these people are sick and tired of everything going up, but unfortunately the income of the ordinary worker isn't actually going up. So now the people have had enough. So again, if you've just joined us, this is the live protest from Cork here on the cost of living. You've joined myself, Alan Gould, Brian's back in base, making sure everything runs smoothly. So hopefully you're getting us loud and clear here from the streets of Cork City, where people have come out in support of the cost of living crisis.
This is called people power. The all in your ivory tower. This is called people power. The all in your ivory tower. This is called people power. The all in your ivory tower. This is called people power. The all in your ivory tower. This is called people power. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back.
As you can see, people are fed up. People over profit every time. The people of Cork are coming out in their thousands to stand up against the government. They demand that the cost of living is addressed now, not in the budget, but now. So the people are still coming out from the end of the Grand Parade here, and we still haven't even left to follow the procession. It's such a big crowd, which is great to see. And there's a mixture of groups and organisations here as well. It's people across all different spectrums of society coming to voice their opinion on how it's affecting them. So the energy situation is only just one part of it. These people feel the government have failed them in many aspects, be it from housing, cost of education, the cost of childcare, the cost of electricity, gas, oil, fuel. Everything is increasing, and these people are standing up and they want the government to act now. It was mentioned about the water protests in 2014. People stood up then. The pensioners stood up for themselves many years ago as well when their pensions were going to be cut. So things can happen if people come together and stand up for what they believe in. Regardless of your political party or none, you are affected by this. So it's great to see so many people here today.
Greens, blue shirts, we the ball!
Jail, jail, jail them all!
Mihal in your ivory tower!
This is called people power!
Mihal in your ivory tower!
This is called people power!
Mihal in your ivory tower!
This is called people power!
Mihal in your ivory tower!
This is called people power!
Greens, blue shirts, we the ball!
Jail, jail, jail them all!
It's great to see the young people as well. They're the future of our country. The young people standing up for what they believe in. They want a better quality of life. Their parents want a better quality of life for them. Well done to the young people of Cork for coming out. You see people, women's workers, underpaid, undervalued, overdue wage rises. You see free public childcare now. Parents are sick and tired of having to pay for childcare. They're going to work to pay for childcare, but they need to provide for their families. These people are fed up, they're sick of it. It's great to see the older people as well, the pensioners of this country, standing up. They too are affected by this. A lot of people are going to be worried about what's going to happen during the winter. Will they be cold? Will their homes be in darkness because they can't afford to pay the rising fuel costs? Is that the country that we want, where people are afraid to turn on the heating or the lighting? That's not what they worked for all their lives. They're entitled to retire in peace and have some quality of life. So again, if you have just joined us here, we're still here. People are still coming out here from the Grand Parade. We're just coming to the end of the gathering of the crowd. People are still filtering out here, so it's great to see everybody out and supporting it. So we're going to join the procession as people walk past us, and we'll see. So again, that's probably 10 minutes or so now that we're still here waiting for the end of the gathering to move past us. And again, the route they've taken is up onto Patrick Street, down to for the Matthew statue, and they're turning back. I think Marlborough Street is what the organisers had said before we went live. So have your say. If you have any comments that you want to say, feel free to put them in. Brian can bring them up on screen as well. If you're unable to attend today but you want to have your opinion heard, feel free to put a comment in. We'd love to hear from you. Again, we didn't think we were going to be going live today, so when the opportunity came up for us to do so, we said we'd do it. So once again, thanks to Brian back in base, looking after all the technical side of it. If you just joined us, this is Alan Gould here, bringing you closer to the protest for people who are unable to attend here today. So that is the very end of the march. They will be coming back, so we will wait for them to come back. Because of the size of the crowd, I imagine they wouldn't be too long coming back anyhow. Very peaceful protest, everyone's well behaved. Great day for the dogs to be out as well, Brian, isn't it? Well stewarded as well by the people involved, and of course the Gardaí there to assist as well. You can see the protest just up, passing the old cinema to go on to Patrick Street. So we've just spoken to the Gardaí there, and they will be coming back up Oliver Plunkett Street to turn back onto the Grand Parade, where we'll hear from more speakers here. So we're going to follow the march here. We'll skip ahead, we won't wait till the very end. Again, the guards are policing it well, so they're able to stop the traffic for people to walk safely.
No, he won't go.
And we'll catch up with the Again, there's other protests organised in Dublin as well, I think on the 24th of September. So if anybody's tuning in from up in Dublin or near it, there's another protest on there if you feel like joining to get out to have your say of what you think is going on with the cost of living. And again, it's a glorious day inside Cork here. It's great to see so many people out, young and old, standing together for their voice to be heard.
People power! This is called people power! This is called people power! This is called.
So we're going to follow the protest up as far as it goes, see if we can make our way up to the top again.
Raise the wages! Raise the wages! Raise the wages!
So once again, if you just joined us here, we're live in Patrick Street as the cost of living protest is taking place, where the people are coming out in support of the government to address what's going on at the moment for every family in Ireland.
When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back.
People's message is very clear here from what you can see. They're fed up with it. Students, pensioners, workers, everybody.
When workers' rights are under attack, stand up, fight back.
So we'll make our way up here again. So just speaking to the Gardaí there as to what sort of numbers are here. They're unsure as to how many is here, but the one thing is for certain, there's a huge turnout for people anyway, so that's the most important thing for the people's behind the organisation of the event.
Fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
So we see some of your comments coming in there as well, guys. Thanks very much for that. Feel free to voice your opinion. We'll put it up on the page for other people to see as well. So if you have anything to add to this, or if you want to put your opinion across, feel free to put in a message and Brian can bring it up. So once again, if you just joined us, this is the live protest here from Cork City. Brian is back at base making sure everything runs smoothly. Hope we're coming to live and clear that everything is okay and we're not losing any signal. But so yeah, we'll keep going with the protest anyway. And here they are, they've turned around for the Matthew statue. Another man has been in the news over the last few weeks, people putting cones on top of the statue's head. Hopefully none of that today. So thanks to Laura Romani for her comments there as well. A complete standstill and the shutdown should happen. Attack their economy because it's not ours. So again, whatever your view is on the cost of living, or if you're affected in any other way, not just the cost of living with gas and electricity, feel free to leave a comment and let us know how it's affecting you. So again, we come back down, we'll be heading back down to the Grand Parade again, so the people that are walking through town that may be unaware of the protest or don't want to join, they can see that the message is clear, loud and clear. So as both crowds pass each other here, we have people walking one way and people walking another way. As you can see, there's such a great number here. That's great to see as well.
But everything came through.
So those the people coming from the other side, they're meeting each other here now. So we're going to move over here. It's turning down to head down back up towards the Grand Parade again. The musicians are also getting behind it. The musicians on the streets are also saying the message.
What is it? Lower the prices, yeah.
Great to see the musicians out entertaining the people of Cork, taking a few minutes break as the people come past. But I'm sure we'll have that microphone going as people are coming past. We'll follow the procession again here.
Not the people. Not the people. So are we. So are we. This is called people power. This is called people power.
So as they turn here to go up on Olive Michael Street. Not the people! Not the people!
Raise the prices!
Not the people!
Raise the prices!
Not the people!
This is called people power!
This is called people power!
So people are turning here and they're heading back up towards the Grand Parade again, so it will be a few minutes as they filter through here. So again, feel free to comment in the Facebook or the Twitter. Brian can put them up if you have an opinion on what's going on today.
It's a good start. It's a good turnout. So.
Again, you can see it stretching all the way down back onto Patrick Street. Just waving to some people here that I know. The dogs on the street know that the cost of living. The dogs on the street know we need to be looked after.
Not the rent!
Raise the wages!
Not the rent!
Raise the wages!
Not the rent!
Raise the wages!
Not the rent!
With workers' rights are under attack! With workers' rights are under attack!
So people will gather back again towards the Grand Parade. I think there's more speakers, they said, after the march as well. So we'll follow the march as they gather back up to the top of the Grand Parade.
People power!
He's holding your ivory tower!
This is called people power!
There's Roy, another man doing a lot for charities in our local community. Roy and his family doing savage work in his area to help support people in need. He's doing his own thing with his family and all the people he's associated with. Great to see that. Well done, Roy. The chants are going. There's a mixture of varied chants that people are singing, but the message is simple. It's loud and it's clear. The people have had enough and they want the government to do something for the ordinary people, the ordinary workers. So we follow again to get up as the leaders of the march come back in towards the Grand Parade again. And it really is, there's people, I can hear people as we're walking saying well done for starting the march, but again, as Mick Barry said, this is just the beginning of what they've planned to protest until they get what they want, which is the government to step in and really help people that are struggling to pay bills, and they'll have a very, very tough winter. And with these companies announcing millions and millions and millions of profits and the cost of the ordinary person's gas and electricity bill coming up, it really is astonishing. There's Mick Nugent, he's the lead short of the march here today.
This is called people power. This is called people power. This is called people power. Not the people. Not the people.
So again, you can see all the people. There's two good men for the protest. Well done, lads. And again, the older generation, they've worked all their lives, and to face into an uncertain winter is not really what anybody wants for the older generation in this country. They should be entitled to enjoy their retirement after working all their life and not having to worry about the cost of fuel bills during winter. That's really what this is all about. So the chant's getting louder and louder as the march is taking place.
This is called people power. This is called people power.
And we're back up again to the top of the Grand Parade.
This is called people power. Not the people. Not the people. Not the people. Not the people.
The workers' rights are under attack.
Stand up, fight back.
The workers' rights are under attack.
Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back. Stand up, fight back.
The workers' rights are under attack.
So we make our way back up to where the protest has just started.
The ivory tower.
About an hour and 15 minutes into the live stream. If you just joined us, this is the live stream here from the protest in Cork on the cost of living. Thousands of people out in their numbers to stand up for what they believe in and to show that they want the government really to stand up and do something for the ordinary worker.
Stand up, fight back. Freeze the prices. Not the people. Freeze the prices. Not the people. Freeze the prices. Not the people. Our workers' rights are under attack. Stand up, fight back. Our workers' rights are under attack. Stand up, fight back. Our workers' rights are under attack. Stand up, fight back. Freeze the prices. Not the people. 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 Our workers' rights are under attack. Stand up.
We have some people applauding the marchers. Some people have to hold the fort here, I suppose.
This is called people power. This is called people power.
So a lot of people still coming back here from the march. It started just over an hour ago. And they're marching, and we'll have speakers back here again. So the crowd's still coming back here as they come back over. So the people still coming down here. See Katrina from Penny Dinners here as well. So once again, it's a great turnout here for people to see and for the government to get the message loud and clear from the people of Cork. We have the one in Dublin on the 24th of September that's taking place as well. Some people from Cork will be going up for that one. But if you're watching online and you want to join that one, it's on the 24th of September. I have to say hello to my sister Gillian as well. She's unable to make it. She's watching on Unity Media. Good to have you join us, Gillian. And again, some people genuinely would have been able to come along due to other commitments. They weren't. So the crowd could have even been more had people not had other commitments here today. The most important message, I suppose, really for people watching is that this is only the beginning. The organisers have said other things will happen. This won't be just a one-off. The one in Dublin will take place as well. And obviously the people involved in the organisation have other things that they will be doing over the coming weeks and months. And the budget obviously coming up on the 27th. A lot of people will be watching that to see what actually the government do. Will this message be listened to? Will this message be carried? Will they actually do something that's needed? It's not needed tomorrow. It's needed now, today. People are fed up. Profits going through the roof for these companies, but yet they ask the people for more.
Thanks everyone, just gathering where we started. Thanks everyone, if we can just gather where we started, it's not over yet.
People are still mobilising after the march, are still coming back.
For everyone coming back from the march, we're gathering where we started. There's still more speeches to be made.
So speaking to one of the organisers, I think there's 4 or 5 speakers still to come. So if you're watching on Unity Media here, stick around. We have another couple of speakers here to give their take on what's actually going on here and what needs to happen. Great to see a dog wagging his tail. So the chant's still going here as people are filtering back, and as you can see, people still aren't fully back from the march at the back here.
Welcome back, and we get straight back into it. So now we have Anne McShane from Cork Cost of Living campaign to start us off. Okay, thank you everybody. I'd like to congratulate you all on a fantastic march. It was just brilliant, brilliant. I'm here from Cork Cost of Living campaign. We set up our group in the last couple of weeks to organise cost of living campaign in Cork a couple of weeks ago. We're calling on everybody in Cork City and Cork County to do the same, to come together locally and get organised in the same way that we did with the water charges. In Cork, we not only marched, but we organised and we prevented them installing the water meters. And many of people in Cork County and Cork City did the same, and we won. We said water was a right, water was a basic need, and there should be no profit made out of it. But I tell you, the right to turn on the heating, to have a warm house, to cook a dinner, to have a roof over your head, to know your children are looked after, to know the benefits are coming through. These are also rights, and these are also needs. And I believe that they need to be taken out of the hands of private companies now. We have seen, as other people have described today, the rocketing profits made by utility companies in this country. We in Cork and my on a non-profit basis by the government. It has to be taken on a non-profit basis because the drive for profit means that we're the ones who suffer. The quest to make profit means that we're not able to pay the bills, that we're not able to get the housing we need, and it needs to end. I believe that we as a community, that we as a working class need to come together right across the board, including migrants, including newcomers to this country. We need to stand together and we need to fight no good. We in Cork have been going out, knocking on people's doors and speaking to them in the last couple of weeks. A lot of people have expressed great fear, enormous fear of what's coming down the track. I believe we need to turn that fear not only into anger, but into organisation, to organise for a budget that is on the basis of our needs and not profits. Thank you. Thank you, Anne. Would everyone like to come a little bit closer? I feel very lonely over here because you're all so far away. Thanks very much. How important our young people are, but once again they are leaving to live in cheaper countries. When will this stop? So on that note, I would like to introduce Sam Galvin, Unite the Youth Union Committee.
Ireland is a low-wage economy. 23% of workers earn less than a living wage. Despite this, Ireland is one of the most expensive countries in the EU, even the world, especially for young people who are faced with paying extortionate rents on less than €10 an hour, and parents who pay as much for childcare as they do for their mortgage. And let me tell you something about this low-wage economy. They always have a reason for prices to go up. The government blames shortages in gas, labour, energy for the price hikes, but profits are at an all-time high, and there never seems to be a reason to raise our wages. Well, everyone here will agree that it's time we gave them a reason. It is time we found our voice to demand a living wage. The working class is stronger and louder than all our enemies at once. Workers cannot be made pay for this crisis when the energy companies and vultures are making super profits and wages are falling. That's why Unite the Union is demanding an immediate increase in the minimum wage to €12.50 this year and €15 by 2024. Any less than that is unacceptable. Our struggles may be different, whether it's as workers, as women, as parents, as members of the traveller community, or as migrants. But there is a common thread which joins our struggles. We can only win through solidarity, through working together and standing shoulder to shoulder. This is how we will win wage increases and stop profiteering. We must organise our class in our communities and workplaces. We must educate ourselves, and we must leverage this power to agitate for change, for a living wage and a workers' economy. Good morning.
Thank you, Sam. So now we have another organiser of today's protest, and again, he's hearing it all first-hand on the street. Deputy Thomas Gould, Sinn Féin.
Listen, first of all, I want to thank everyone for the absolutely unbelievable crowd that came here today, and I think we should have a big spoon of us. The government can see today that the people of Cork have come out in our thousands to say enough is enough, that people won't put up with it anymore. We're listening to the tarnished in the Taoiseach, but just a few facts, because it's all about the facts. Being the Gael in power 12 years, being the father in power 6 years with them, what have they given us? They've given us a crisis in housing. A million people on waiting list who can't get into hospital. Tens of thousands of people who can't get a house to rent, to buy, students that are sleeping in cars, pensioners that are afraid to turn on the heating. everything. And then they're saying, blame the war in Ukraine here, blame the poor. The blame lies only one place. It lies at the government. How is it possible in Ireland in 2022 where a person working a full-time job or even two people working in a house have to worry about paying their bills, have to worry about turning on the heating, have to worry about what food they buy themselves or the children? How is that possible? When we think back, always remember, this isn't about the colour of your skin, your religion. This is about the rich getting richer. And Fine Gael have said it. They're backing big business vulture funds. We're backing ordinary people because that's who Sinn Féin have stood with for 100 years. You have a job to do, every man and woman here today. Your job is to go home and talk to your family, your friends, your workmates, your neighbours. Organise meetings, WhatsApp groups. Even if 10 people get together in a room or in a park or in their area, we need to make this like the water charges. We need to be thousands of people out to the street because we need an election. We need to get this government down and we need a government for the people. I met a man in my clinic on Monday, and I leave you with this. He's an elderly man who has health issues, and he has to turn on a machine at night to help him breathe. And he's afraid to turn on the machine. How can a pensioner who's got serious health issues in 2022 be afraid to turn on the machine that keeps him breathing? And that's what we have. We have families with children with disabilities waiting years, can't get services. We have older people, vulnerable people. Listen, we are the strong here today. We're standing for ourselves, but we're standing for people who can't speak for themselves, the vulnerable in society. So I put out the challenge to you today, each and every one of you. Let's stand together. This is an emotion, fear, of solidarity. This is about the people. This is about all the groups. So let's stand together. Ordinary people, students, elder people, working class, middle class. Let's make this people poor. And let's send a clear message to the government. You have a chance to deliver. And if you do it, we'll be back on the streets again. Don't be alarmed.
Thank you, Thomas. So the first time I met this group was when we were doing our pickets in Debenhams and they came to help. Just like they have given penny dinners a hand now and then. So I am calling on somebody from the Connolly Youth Movement to come up first to have a talk now.
Jason, lovely here, isn't it? Hello, my name is Sean Falvey, and like many of you, I'm a student and a worker living in Cork. The cost of living is affecting all of us differently. Rising fuel and electricity costs leave many of us facing fuel poverty and blackouts this coming winter, while the ESB line their pockets with record profits. The housing crisis has increased the risk of homelessness for many, and has given free rein to the greedy landlords to act as they please. I, like many other students, struggle to find suitable and affordable accommodation for this academic year. Between the cost of rent, eating and transport, ordinary people like you and me find themselves with less and less money in their pockets. People are struggling to afford the bare necessities. The government in the past, in a crisis like this, has been reliant on the immigration of Irish people to other countries, and this has allowed them to mitigate and wash their hands without ever properly addressing the root causes. The cost of living crisis did not happen overnight. The government of Ireland has not solved this problem and will not solve this problem. They will blame the war in Ukraine, COVID-19, the opposition, migrants. They'll blame anybody but themselves. But it's the years of austerity and neglect overseen by Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Labour and the Greens that has brought about our current situation. Now, I don't have all the answers, but the solution to this crisis is simple. We must build more public housing. We must take away the massive energy profits from the companies, and we must properly fund our healthcare system and our public services so the most vulnerable members of our society can get the help they deserve and the dignity. But the government will not do any of this, so now it is time for action. We must organise in our communities so we can build a strong opposition to this broken system. This means joining a trades union, agitating in your workplace. It means getting involved in tenant unions such as CATU and building strength in our neighbourhoods to tackle rogue landlords and their illegal evictions. And most of all, it means getting politically active like we all are today. There is no future in this system. We must dismantle it from the bottom up and bring power to the working Irish people and take it away from the likes of Leo Varadkar, Micheál Martin and his cronies who have only allowed this crisis to grow. The future is in the hands of the youth. We must seize it.
Thank you very much. And now, lastly, the person who sees the most hardship or rising costs are causing every day. They do Trojan work, helping everyone in Cork City. So can I call on Katrina to me, please?
Hi. Oh, as you know, I'm Katrina, and I just want, I want the government to hear what I have to say today. I want them to listen to what I have to say, because it concerns all of us. It concerns the people that they were voted to represent and represent properly. First, I need to congratulate the Life Centre. People Power has shown that this week Christy Moore's concert sold out in minutes. That's because the people of Cork recognise that the Life Centre is one of the best educational institutions in the country. So it shows what we can do as a people together. But today, I suppose I have it written down because I'm inclined to ramble. So today I stand before you and I stand with you to show I care about the plight, the suffering, the hardship that is causing so many to struggle. There is a desperation creeping over the city, the county and the country, and a fear that is gripping people and making them pay for the price of being human. It's called the high cost of living. First, let me address the war. We are being told it is driving up prices. My question to the government is the war responsible for driving up profits too? No, I don't think so. Food and shelter is recognised as a basic human need and housing as a basic human right. Needs and rights fulfilled make for a home, and that is where most of us start from. However, there is nothing to protect us from the physical and emotional storms of life, except maybe the thousands of charitable institutions who are the backbone of this country, keeping us afloat and helping us to survive. To survive what is imposed upon us. Poverty, for instance. Poverty means your income is too low to meet your basic human needs. Food, shelter, clothing, your rent, your mortgage, your electricity, your gas, your fuel, your health, your education, your safety, your mental health, your peace of mind, etc. Many charities have listed a range of interventions. There we go. So they've listed a range of interventions to persuade government to act to resolve the housing crisis. And as I endorse their efforts, I would also single out for activist attention the need for a referendum on housing, a huge cause of poverty. The government I don't know why I'm so nervous, I know most of you, but I am. Anyway, the government has issued warm words on this, but has failed to keep the promise alive. So with all of you, I can envision a more integrated push for government attention to its duty of care to all citizens. And they're the key words here. The government has a duty of care to all of us, to all its citizens. I can see the virtue of us working together to advance an understanding of what a referendum can achieve in shifting the dial. I am aware that social housing, repair and let, the purchase of vacant property and step-down accommodation from treatment centres, etc. are all other issues that require attention, as are other issues like health, disabilities, the elderly, mental health, hunger, and suicide needs immediate attention also. People are dying and people are afraid. What a winter we face. The many small businesses closing, evictions, home repossessions, all of this needs attention too. We need that duty of care, and we need it now as people are being forced to endure and to survive. I deal with the tears, the hurt, the fear, the uncertainty, the humiliation, the hunger, the struggle, death, and the loss of hope every day. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't bear the loneliness of it anymore. Thank you.
Katrina.
Thank you very much. Strong words as usual. So now, today is just the start of what we need to build on campaigns with these issues. We need communities across the city and the counties to let themselves be heard. There is a hard winter ahead, with families having to decide whether to heat or feed their families. So the next protest is next Saturday in Dublin, and please put this next date on your calendar. November the 12th is our next one in Cork, and it'll be bigger.
So there you heard it, November the 12th. November the 12th is the next protest. November the 12th, put that in your calendars in Cork.
Together as we have Martin Leahy for a song.
Some people's misery or other people's gain, and rich the rich and make them richer. They see property as an opportunity, a business that'll make the sick the sicker. If they build too many houses, it'll drive up the price. It's just cold economics today. So there's no way to address it, cause it's not in their interest. You've seen it over time and time again. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. In this world, in this life, it's a basic human right to have a dignified place you call your own. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. Housing developers that are hung up on greed, hungry vultures swooping from the sky, crucifying rents that are on the increase. Shamefully they made the people cry. All the vacant properties, we can see them in our town. Sign the papers, take down the boards. A home, not a hotel. A home, not a hostel. A home, not a cardboard box to the side of the road. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. In this world, in this life, it's a basic human right to have a dignified place you call your own. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. We've got landlords and government to vote and legislate in favour of investment state control. Our leaders, they facilitate and then wave away the emergency created at their door. The money finds get richer and the poor now paid in the hovels and holes they can't afford. Dystopian evictions, ruthless repossessions, the wealthy country's people in a stranglehold. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. In this world, in this life, it's a basic human right to have a dignified place you call your own. Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong. Everyone should have a home. Safe and warm where you belong.
we need. And don't forget the 12th of November. Thank you, bye.
So here you have it, 12th of November is the next march in Cork. We have Dublin next week as well on the 24th of September, so put that in your calendar. If you haven't been able to make it, you can see what can happen when people come together. So once again, thanks to Brian back in base for making sure everything ran smoothly. From myself, Alan Gould, here in Cork City at the Cost of Living protest. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. And if anyone's travelling to Dublin next week, safe travels.